Okay, guys, we're going to look at some key things that we consider for elite players when they're driving the golf ball. Um, there's a very high correlation between the top players in the world and their ability to hit the golf ball long and straight. Um, since I've been alive, the only player that's really achieved the number one player in the world on the men's side that hasn't been an elite driver of the golf ball or considered an elite driver of the golf ball would probably be Luke Donald. Everyone else has been, the top, I would say probably 10 overall drivers of the golf ball. So hitting the golf ball long and straight um, really helps your ability to shoot low scores. We're not going to talk about positions a whole lot, but what we're going to talk about is things that match up and allow players to take advantage of kind of their grip pattern and set up and the things that they do dynamically. So when looking at Dustin here, the first thing we look at, is he's got a super strong grip. Um, the V's of his hands point underneath his right shoulder. What I mean by V's is just the little V that the meaty part of your hand makes when you're kind of pinching your thumb and your forefinger together on the grip. So anytime we see those V's pointing underneath the right shoulder, that's a super strong condition. Anything that we see kind of pointing at the pit of the right shoulder, I would consider kind of pretty standard for the PGA Tour. Um, and then anything that points um, towards the sternum, um, we would consider, you know, probably weak by PGA Tour standards. Um, and then we don't really see that many good players point those V's um, at their lead shoulder or left shoulder in this instance. That would be an extremely weak condition that gets really hard to square the club face from there. So I'm going to clear those lines out. So knowing that he's a strong grip player, the things that the matchup he would need at impact is he would need a lot of body rotation, and he would need some forward lean of the shaft. And you can see at impact, here he's got the shaft leaning forward. He's got a nice bend in his right arm. His left wrist is bowed. You can tell that his chest is open. His hips are open. You can see that better from down the line. It's a really good impact position right there, but it matches his grip style and what he needs to do um, to have a predictable club face through impact. You can see that his hips are excessively open, his chest is open, right arm bent, right wrist has still got some bend in it. His left arm is straight, his left wrist is bowed. That's what I would call a very classic, very stable impact position. Now, as guys' grip or girls' grip styles get more towards a neutral or even weak, you would see less of these. You'd see a little less rotation. You might see a little bit more bowing of the left wrist in a weaker grip scenario. But pretty much everybody's going to have similarities in their impacts that are elite hitters. You see a varying amount of right arm bend. You see a varying amount of right wrist bend. And you see a varying amount of how much the left wrist bows. And it's all really based on the grip style that you're playing around. The other thing that I want to look at is just dynamically what Dustin does and how athletic he is. One of the things I really like is his head stays pretty centered. He sets up with a little axis tilt, just primarily because his grip is so strong. But he doesn't move off the ball from there. He stays pretty centered. And then from the top of his golf swing, you're going to really see how much down and to the left he moves. And what this does is really keeps his lower body from sliding out in front, out too far out in front of his upper body. So from there, his pelvis is lowered, his knees are flexed, he's got a lot of pressure he's putting into the ground. And the guys that hit the golf ball really hard, and the girls that hit the golf ball really hard, press into the ground. And that pressing into the ground allows the energy to flow back up through their body and really speed the club head up. So from this point, we'll change the color. You're going to see his belt buckle move up and to the left. Now, that amount of dynamic movement really accelerates the club head. Um, that's the pattern that you see for all guys and girls who hit the golf ball really far. They load into the ground. They're loading, really start loading into the ground before they even get to the top of their golf swing. So you'll see Dustin from about midway back, he's already starting to press down into the ground. He'll continue to move down, until, he's probably, a quarter of the way into his downswing. And from this point forward, he's moving up and to the left and opening everything that he's got. And that pattern, is a great one for stability in the club face, is a great one for exploding through the golf ball. Hope this helps. Hope it gives you some good insight on what the best players in the world are doing. And hopefully it gives you some things that you can train into your own golf swing to help you hit the golf ball further and straighter. Thanks. Let us know if you have any questions.